guys, welcome to Mr. Ben Coaching, Tuesday training tips and mat-based exercise. I was sat on the bike yesterday and I thought I must do a 5-minute or a 10-minute natter with you on myofascial release, basically massaging the muscles. It isn't going to be more effective than going to see a sports massage therapist or an osteopath or physio, because I think it will never fulfill the role of a hand, you know, when you're working, because it's so much easier to pinpoint. But for time-strapped people, and when it's difficult to get in, especially with COVID at the moment, I always recommend using these 3 bits of kit to my clients when you finish running, when you're cycling, and when you're swimming as well, etc. Because I think keeping on top of your muscles and regularly massaging them massively helps. If you've got an injury, you must go and seek advice first of all. You know, self-diagnosing sometimes can be right if you know what you're doing, but most of us don't know, and especially if it's something more sinister. So if you've got an injury, get checked out first, then the medical professional will be able to tell you to do some self-work at home on that. So I've got what I teach the Pilates people, a longer roller, which is a softer version of this, and this is a much more aggressive version, which obviously is much more invasive to the legs. And I use a ball as well, just for the mid-back to work some extension. So I'm going to go through the major muscles that you use when you're doing running, cycling, swimming. Quad muscles, hamstrings, calves, glutes, lower mid-back muscles. Obviously with swimming there's a lot more exercises through here, through shoulder work, but I'll do that in another session today. But I want to do the major muscles that you use. When should you use a roller? When you feel tightness and as a maintenance thing. You don't need to go over the top by doing dozens and dozens, because you're just going to bruise the muscle. You need to listen to your body. If it's too painful, the roller you've got, then you need to probably ease off a little bit on it or get a softer roller, and vice versa. If you're unsure of any of the movements, just go and get in touch with a massage therapist or a physio or an osteopath. They will be more than happy to book a session in with you, give you the stuff to do outside as well as maintenance. Unless you can afford to have a sports massage every day, which I certainly can't. We have to do other areas as well. So we'll start first of all with mid-back. When you cycle, especially in a rounded position, I always like to use a soft one. I can use this, but it just feels a bit more invasive. So I always start with this movement here, because it just works the muscles of the lower mid upper back. One thing you must always do is never roll up towards the cervical neck. You don't need to, it's the shoulder blade area. And I always put the pressure going towards the heart, Venus return, towards the heart, and then gently back. It's harder to do when you're on the back position, but when you do the exercises with the legs, I will talk through earlier. So I'm going just down towards the soft tissue around the lumbar spine, and then I'm going to exhale as I come back. Support the neck always, and then back down. This is something I do regularly with all my clients as well. And one more time. I'm only doing 3. I'd normally do anywhere from 5 to 10 repetitions only on this. Okay, and then, great exercise if you desk bound and spend a lot of time in the saddle, is to put this between the shoulder blades. Check it's aligned. Support the neck, and just allow yourself to breathe into the movement, and allow that upper back to wrap around the ball into thoracic extension. And this combats the roundness that we get from cycling. And I'd recommend you hold this position for up to 30 seconds. I'm not going to do 30 seconds, I only just to give you a demo. Okay. And then we'll go on to the thing. What do I mean by myofascial release? Well, if you think of like a big piece of gammon, it's got its skin around it, that's the myofascial, and they often get adhesions and tightness and are stuck to other muscles. So the idea being is when you roll the roller, you're moving the myofascial around, and it can take the tension away and sometimes reduce tenderness in areas which are tight. Particularly the IT band is where this comes into its own, but I'll talk a bit more about it. So I'll start with the gastrocnemius, the calf muscle, work from the Achilles up, side to side, not straight down the middle. So you can do single leg if you're comfortable, you need support, either a hand or a fist, and you can just gently roll up towards the heart, ease off, up towards the heart, ease off. I'm always tighter on the lateral part there. Okay, and you would probably do 4 to 6 repetitions and then swap sides. You can then go straight onto a hamstring now, where you can just work through. At the moment I'm obviously just working on the one leg. If you haven't got enough pressure through here, of course you can drop onto 2 legs and then you make it much more of a stronger massage. Right up towards the sit bone area and then swap sides. Again, you can always do turn out 2 version. Hamstrings not quite as effective, but you can still work by turning the legs inwards and outwards. But always try to get the pressure going towards the heart. IT band, the one we dread. Runners, cyclists often get tight IT bands because they're weak around here. So by using the roller will help relieve it, it won't cure it. You're going to have to do exercises to strengthen the glute medius and glute minimus as well as the glutes. So there's lots of other exercises which I'll show in the video. But IT band, make sure you don't work on the knee. It's that fibrous band that goes all the way down here and it helps keep the legs stable. Often when you get IT band you get pain here or on the hips, and it can be, like I say, from muscle imbalance, incorrect saddle height, doing too much, etc, etc. It could be a number of ways, and that's obviously for the therapist or physio osteopath to diagnose, not myself. Okay, stack the hips up. We roll towards the hips. Ooh, it's always painful this. If it is too painful, then use your body to take some pressure off and you gently roll it through there. We just gently roll there. So take pressure off on the way down and allow the pressure to come up as we go toward, roll the roller towards the heart and back. So opposite side. Now for me, my left side is much more tighter than my right, and it always has been, and I know when I work on this side now, it's going to feel a lot more painful to do this than the other side. Which means straight away, that is it's tender. So I'm going to take a bit of pressure off and then ease on the way back down. It doesn't look very elegant doing this, but it does give me relief if I feel slight pain around my knee. So it's just that roll. I don't rush this at all. Make sure you breathe. Just up towards the hip, not onto the femur head, and back down. And I would probably try and do 4 to 6, depends how painful. If your roller is too painful, then a soft roller is much more effective. It depends on how regularly you use this and your pain threshold. I'm a bit of a wimp really, so I like to use a soft one on here. So calves, hamstrings, IT band, quad muscles, are 4 of them. So be careful not to roll around the top of the kneecaps. It's painful around there, you're going to damage yourself. So you can do both legs if you want to, which will work the quad in the middle and the hip flexor, or you can work single as you work on the outside of the quad, the inside of the quad, and you can control that movement as you, again, pressure going up towards the heart, all the way you're starting to get in towards the hip flexor area as well. The hip flexor, you just work a bit lower. And I like to work on the edge, and you can roll and roll through. Lovely exercise this is. If you're desk bound, you're going to get tight hip flexors. And then your glutes. You can use a tennis ball in the piriformis, but that starts getting a bit more technical and a bit sometimes invasive for people. So a roller's fine because you can just sit on here and just roll through. The caveat I put for this is, if you have piriformis syndrome or sciatica, you do not do this exercise. You go straight to see your therapist or medical professional and get a second opinion, because you can end up aggravating this. So this for me, nice and comfortable, little bit of pain, but it's a massage of here, and then you repeat the other side through here and just work through. And then obviously with swimming, you've got work around the shoulders and lats to do as well, which again I'll show you on another video. But the key thing is, when do you do this? Ideally post-ride, post-training, post-run, etc, etc. Or when you've got time. Make sure you're well warmed up. Don't think this is just a substitute not to do anything else. You need to do some strength and conditioning, you need to do some stretching of the muscles and some mobility of the spine. We want the components of fitness: flexibility, strength of the muscles, the spine to be regularly moved. Then when you do your rolling, that will complement you as well. So there's a few bits of tips there for you. Some of them you probably do already, but if you're not used to myofascial work, have a look at my video and then do a bit of research, or check with your coach or massage therapist. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next session, guys. Take care.